Hey developers, in today's video I want to talk to you about a very important topic, which is memory leak. So if you have been working as a professional iOS developer for a while, it's different from just coding apps on Udemy or YouTube, because you do have to maintain those apps, right? And whenever crashes happen on Firebase, you have to debug them and try to resolve those crashes. And most of the time, if they are erratic, if those crashes are erratic and very difficult to produce, it's usually a memory leak. So a memory leak happens when you create a retain cycle where memory is being choked up in your device. And I'm not sure whether you know, every device, let's say the iPhone 8, it has like 3 GB of memory, and once your app keeps accumulating memory and it doesn't release properly, the operating system will just shut down your app by just crashing it. So this is where we want to this is what we want to avoid, because this obviously gives a very bad user experience to the user, and secondly, this could also result in monetary loss. Okay, so in today's video, I have an example over here to show you how do memory leaks happen, what are the common areas where those leaks happen, and obviously how we can resolve them. Okay, we use something called the memory graph. We can use instruments as well, and I would like to introduce you a very important and very useful tool that I've discovered lately to solve some of the problems that I had. Okay, so firstly, let's run through the project. So let me show it to you the storyboard. It's very simple. I have a navigation controller that's hooked up to a view controller that has a button called user list. All right, tapping on this brings me to a table view controller with that prints out a bunch of user information, an image, name. When I click on this button, show email, I will show up a alert controller as well as this button over here, or rather a UI view over here. All right, that has the information image, and tapping on this UI view would bring me to the detail view, and the detail view is a view controller with just a very simple label. All right, so I'm making this as simple as possible, but I think there are a lot of good nuggets in this video. All right, so please watch this, because this could really save you hours of torment. All right, so since I've gone through the torment myself, why not make use of it to teach you a lesson? Okay, as weird as that sounds. Okay, so let's run through the simulator first. So when I run the simulator, I will be brought to the root view controller, which has the user list button. Tapping on that would bring me to a table view controller. So after 2 seconds, we make an API call that fetches a bunch of user information. So we have Terry, Sheldon, Terry, Miles, Marvis, and then very simply we have the image view, the name label, as well as a button that says show email. When I tap on show email, I will show the email on the alert controller. So I'm going to tap on this right now, and then we have Atun. Okay, if I tap on Sheldon, I'll get another email as well. Okay, so as you can see on my console, every time I perform an action, I do a printout over here. Okay, when I tap on this I button, I'll be brought to the detail screen. So Terry, so if I tap on I'll go to Terry. Let's hit back. If I tap on I'll go to Sheldon. Okay, so let's walk through the code first, and then let's see if you can spot any issues. I mean, obviously there are issues, so if you want to take this as a challenge, I'm gonna leave the link to this code where you can download from GitHub, and try to see if you can solve them first, and then I'll go through them in just a while. Okay, so over here, this is the user table view controller, which is this one over here. So over here I have a users array var. So once I fetch the API, I'm going to assign that to this users property, and then reload the table view. All right, so over here I have a fetch user notification. So this inside the view did load, I will add an observer to a notification center to listen to this fetch users notification name. Okay, and then upon this being fired, I would call the fetch users function over here. All right, and what this does is it just makes an API call. Okay, so keeping things very simple, URL session, passing in an endpoint, and then I will get the users from the model, and then what I do is I update the navigation title. So notice here it says users/30 because there are 30 users, and then I print out the reload table view on the console, and finally I reload the table view. Alright, so really simple stuff. Okay, I have a segue over here because when I tap on the I, I'm going to send the information, or rather the name, to the detail view controller. Alright, so this is should be simple to understand. Okay, so the show alert over here takes in an email. So when I tap on this, I call this function show alert, passing in the email, and it prints out on the table view controller. All right. Finally, inside the cell for row itself, what did I do? Okay, I dequeued the cell. So and I configure I call the configure a function which pass in just the user model. Okay, and then over here I have something that's pretty funky. Okay, I have an event publisher here. This is any publisher that listens to some events of the cell itself. So if you have watched the previous video about binding combined with the table view, this will be familiar to you. I'll leave a link somewhere at the top which you can check it out if you want to. Alright, so it listens to these two events over here. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here. So when I tap on the show email, notice that this will be fired. Okay, and then when I tap on the I button, okay, I will come to line 73, and show details will be printed out when I just hit this. Okay, so this should be easy to understand, and then these are quite self-explanatory. I define the events over here, and inside the user cell, which is this guy here. Okay, so what do I have? I have an image view, easy to understand. I have a name label, very easy to understand. Okay, I have an info view here. Okay, so what is this info view? This info view is this guy over here. All right, so let's see what this info view is all about. Okay, info view, very simple. This is to simulate a custom view. Okay, what do we have? We have an image view, which is this eye thing, this eye image. And then we have a gesture recognizer that detects whenever this eye image is being tapped on, and when it happens, we get the delegate to fire the function to say that the info view has been tapped. Okay, and this delegate is being observed inside the user cell. So if you notice, inside the configure function, we have info view.delegate equals to self, which means it has to conform to the info view delegate, which also means that I have to set up this function over here that says info view tab. All right, so put a breakpoint here. If I hit the I, this will be triggered. Okay, line 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to show you what is the possible problem that is happening over here. So notice that everything seems to be pretty okay until it's not. All right. So if you see over here, let's click on this button over here, which is the memory graph, and this is a very important tool to know what is being stored inside the memory of the app. Okay, so notice that everything seems pretty okay. App delegate, we have one. Okay, we have a problem already. Notice that inside the info view, we have 8 instances of that. Okay, this is a big problem. Okay, because we know that this info view is not being released into the memories. And over here, notice that we have 8 instances of user cell even after we hit back to come to this screen over here. All right, so I'm going to show you I'm going to show you more. So notice that when I hit on the user list, I'm making this API call, but right now what's happening is that why is fetch users being fired twice? Let me go back again. And let me clear this and hit the user list one more time, and you notice that now fetch user is happening 3 times. What's happening? It means that we are making the API call 4 times now and reloading the table view 4 times now, which means, you know, there's a chance that your app can crash. Obviously this is really simple, but if you have a very complex view and you're making all sorts of a query to maybe call data, this can potentially crash your app itself. Okay, so I'm going to come over to the top over here to show you where are the common areas where leaks do happen. All right, so I'm pretty sure you know closures is a big one over here. Whenever we don't have a weak self or an unowned self, we have a strong reference, this thing do happen. Delegates as well. So whenever we define the delegates, it should be a weak delegate. And for this problem where the fetch users is being caught multiple times, this is because of the notification centers. So let's maybe try to fix this one first. So notice over here what's happening here. Every time the view deload happens, we are adding an observer to the self. Who is the self? The self is the user table view controller. All right, and then after 2 seconds over here, I use notification center to post. All right, basically once it receives this notification, it's going to call fetch users, and therefore every time I go back and forth, it's actually adding multiple notifications into the user table view controller, and as a result it's not being released. All right, so this is what you want to avoid. Okay, so this is one problem that we have. So notice we have another problem. So if I hit on show email, now I see that I'm calling the show alert 2 times. So where is show alert? Show alert is over here, show alert. All right, so notice that if I scroll up and down, I'm gonna hit show email again, I'm getting show alert multiple times. All right, this is a hell of a big problem, guys. All right, so we don't want that to happen. Okay, but you see, the thing is that you might not know that a memory leak happens because when you tap on this, you see the alert controller, you do not see what's happening inside the console, and therefore you might think that everything is cool and dandy. But watch what happens when I start to hit on the I button over here. Alright, so if you had used some apps before, you would see this behavior, and that's because it's likely that a retain cycle has happened. Okay, so I'm going to fix all this right now. Okay, you know what, before that, I want to show you how bizarre things can get if I hit on the memory graph right now. So as you know, whenever maybe let's just bring this back to the user list first. Okay, when we dismiss the view controller should be released. The memory should be released, and therefore we should not have any instance of that. If we do have, that means that a memory leak is happening. All right, so looking at the memory graph one more time, I should not expect to see any user table view controller, but this time notice that I have 6 instances. All right, so this is really critical because let's imagine that each of this instance listens to the notification center, and if I post this notification right now, these 6 instances are going to fire those functions, and this could be really disastrous to your app. All right, and notice that we have user self 53 instance, which is bizarre again. So if you notice, previously I showed you that there were 30 cells altogether. All right, why do I get 30? Because over here I did response.user.count when I printed out this onto the navigation title. All right, so as you saw just now, we had about 50 over 50 over cell instances. Was it 50? Oh, 61 right now. So again, it's just a matter of time before your app is going to crash and you're going to get a ping from your EM, which you probably don't want that to happen. All right, so we're going to fix this right now. Okay, so the memory graph really helps you to identify instances that are not supposed to be there. But I want to show you another way where you can quite simply and quite quickly fix this, and it's using a library called the LeakedViewControllerDetector. So I'm going to show you how this works, okay, because I thought this is actually pretty cool. So let me just quickly open this right now and just paste this to get the instructions. Okay, so firstly, let's just add this inside our build phases, inside our package dependencies. So I'm going to add this bad boy here because this thing is really super useful. Okay, so add package, and let's add this into the main target. All right, hit the add target over here. Okay, so this is the repository. Okay, so you can read all about it you want, but basically what it does is that every time you dismiss a view controller, it's going to tell you whether the particular view controller is still in memory or not. So over here you see this view controller is still in memory, and it tells you where to look out for. Okay, to install this, we just installed using Swift Package Manager. Now what we need to do is to just add this line inside app delegate. So I'm going to do that right now. So I think should it be this one? Yeah, I think so. Let me just do it here. So just paste this here, and let's not forget to import LeakedViewControllerDetector, and then I think we can just permanently return true. Okay, I think this should be fine. Okay, I'm going to run this on the simulator one more time with the integration, and I'm going to show you what's how does this leak view controller detector really helps. Okay, so if I click on this, and right now if I click on the back button, it's going to tell me that, hey, user table view controller. Oh, okay, wait, hold on, let me just do that one more time. It's going to tell me that this is still in memory, but it gets deinitiated after like 1 second, and the reason is because we did not create that memory leak when we hit the back button. So let me explain. So I click this time, and now I'm going to interact with this table view a little bit. Okay, I'm going to scroll up and scroll down, and this would create the memory leak. So when I hit the back button this time, notice that it's going to say that, hey, view controller still in memory, and it tells us that the view controller is the user table view controller. All right, so you can imagine your app has like 20, 30, 40, 50 view controllers, and and if your app is big, you won't have the time to be perpetually tapping onto the memory graph to check out which classes have multiple instances and which should not have. So this leak view controller detector will be super useful. Okay, so now we know that we have a problem with this user table view controller. Let's go deeper into this view controller, and let's see what we can fix. Okay, so over here, notice that we are calling fetch users twice, and the reason is because, okay, wait, the reason is not because we are using notification center, but rather our implementation of notification center. All right, so what's happening over here is that, as mentioned, during view did load, we are adding the observer perpetually. What we need to do is that we have to remove those observer. Okay, so the way to do that is that we can check that inside view will disappear. So view will disappear. Oh, not view, super dot view will disappear animated. And then what we need to do is that we have to ensure that we remove that. So notification center dot default dot remove observer. And let me see which is the one. Okay, we can pass this here. The observer will be self. The name, we can use the same one, which is fetch user notification name, and then object I can pass this as nil. All right, so this will fix the problem of fetching the users multiple times and reloading the table view multiple times. Okay, so let's see if this will work. All right, so I'm going to run the simulator one more time, and then I'm going to come to user list, come back here again. Okay, I'm just going to wait for a while. Okay, so I see fetch users, reload table view, scroll up and down, hit the back button. Okay, come back here again. I should still see fetch users being called once instead of multiple times. Okay, so back and forth, it's going to be calling it once, because right now every time this view controller, or rather the user's table view controller is being dismissed, view will disappear, fires, and we will remove the notification center. All right, the observer from the user table view controller. All right, okay, so we have fixed the first one over here. So now let's see what else are we lacking. Okay, so let's see. Okay, nothing too crazy here. I think this is fine. I did some force unwrapping because I'm very sure that this is gonna work. So okay, so over here, can we use the self? Yes, we can. Why? Because we are being wrapped inside the dispatch queue, and the dispatch queue is not an instance of a property of user table view controller, and therefore using self over here, it's fine. But if you are scared, I think an own self should work as well. Okay, so let's see why are the retain cycles happening. Okay, so over here, notice that we have a closure over here, and we are performing a segue over here. So what we need to do is that we have to add a weak self here, okay, so that we don't have a strong reference. So I'm going to do it this way, Command R to run. And let's see if we are still getting the retain cycle. I believe we are, because there are more problems on the way. So let's see. Fetch users, up and down. Okay, if I hit the show email. Okay, so notice that we still have that problem where show alert is still being fired multiple times. Okay, so where are the problems? Okay, the problem happens inside the user cell itself. Okay, so why is that happening? It's because in the user cell, we have an event subject, which is a pass-through subject, and we have an event publisher. So event subject is private. It's only the cell itself can modify this, and the event publisher, you can think of this as a read-only. Okay, and this is of type anyPublisher, and it returns the user cell event. Okay, so what's the problem over here is that if you see over here, this event publisher is being stored in the cancelable, which is a problem. Okay, so this is the problem where this cancelables should be of the cell's cancelables instead. So what it means is this. Okay, so I have to do cell dot cancelable and state. Okay, and also I have to ensure that in my prepare for reuse itself, I have to set this again. All right, oops, not without the var. Okay, so let me just run this right now. So let's see whether are we still getting the retain cycle even with these changes. Okay, build, what is the problem here? Cell dot. Alright guys, so inside we have to store this inside the cell.cancelables. So I made some changes over here, so I couldn't make this into a private. So previously this was private set, but it has to be var just like that. Okay, so running this on the simulator one more time, it should compile. Alright, so this is what we have to do to do it this way. And then let's see whether we're getting the retain cycle one more time. So hit the user list. I'm going to wait for a little while, fetch users, reload table views, up and down, and right now if I hit show email, okay, I'm not getting that problem anymore. All right, so you notice that this is we have kind of fixed the problem. Okay, so all right, so one more thing is that when I hit the back button, and let's come back again, oh, it looks like we have a problem here. View still in memory, user cell. Okay, so the user cell has a problem. Okay, so let's come to the code itself. So guys, I actually really wanted to show you that this tool is really pretty cool. All right, so I think I've kind of demonstrated that. Okay, so user cell has a problem. So what's the problem this time? I believe that has to do with the info view.delegate. Okay, so as mentioned, one of the problem over here is that delegates sometimes has to be a weak reference. Okay, so notice over here inside the info view, the delegate is not a weak reference. Okay, so let's make this weak this time. Command R to build this. I believe we should not have a problem now. Okay, so I have to do that is class bound. I think it's is it class now? Or any class? Oh, I think it should be like that. Okay, so let's see if we are getting that problem again. Okay, show alert is fine. Hitting this is fine. Show details. Alright, it looks like everything is okay right now if I hit the back button. Alright guys, so notice that I don't get this problem anymore. Oh, any object. Alright, so guys, I think I've kind of fixed all the retain cycles that is happening right now. So if I am to hit the this memory graph right now, I should not see any instance of the user table view controller, which is exactly what I'm seeing right now. I'm so happy, and I hope you are too. Alright guys, so you see over here we don't have everything, we don't have any instances of the cells as well as the table view controller, which is what we want to achieve. Alright, so guys, This is a little bit of a long tutorial, but I hope that you found some of this information that I'm sharing useful. So again, what I really want to talk to you about is that what works for me is really the memory graph as well as this leak controller detector. And my experience is that, you know, if your view controller is extremely huge, and you know that the leak detector is complaining that, you know, this particular view controller has the leak, what I usually do is that I start to comment out all the code and, you know, ensure that the leak detector is not complaining anymore, and just gradually adding those code back in. Alright guys, I think I've come to the end of the video and I hope that you benefited. Let me know what you think about it, and I'll see you in the next one.